Story 1. The Silent House. I grew up in a quiet neighborhood where Halloween was always busy. Every year, the same houses were decorated, the same families handed out candy, and the same groups of kids ran from one porch to the next. But there was one house at the end of the street that no one ever went to. It was small, gray, and always looked abandoned. The blinds were drawn year-round, and the lawn was overgrown. People said an old couple had lived there once, but no one had seen anyone go in or out for years. One Halloween when I was about 12, my friends dared me to knock on the door. I didn't want to look scared, so I walked up the cracked path and rang the bell. At first, nothing happened. Then slowly the porch light flicked on. I remember the bulb buzzing, like it hadn't been used in years. The door opened just a crack. I couldn't see inside, just darkness. A pale hand, thin and veined, reached out holding a single wrapped piece of candy. I froze. My friends whispered from the sidewalk, urging me to grab it. So I did. I muttered thanks and backed away. The door shut without a sound, and the light went off. When I got home later, I emptied my pillowcase onto the floor. Every piece of candy looked normal, except for the one I'd been given at that house. The wrapper was blank, just plain white. Inside wasn't chocolate or taffy. It was a small, broken piece of bone. The next morning, I went back with my friends to prove it. But when we reached the end of the street, the house was dark again. The porch light was gone. Even the doorbell had been ripped out, wires hanging where it had been. We never saw anyone at that house again. Story 2. The Man in the Mask. When I was in high school, a friend invited me to a Halloween party a couple towns over. I didn't drive yet, so I caught a ride with 2 other kids from my school. We left around midnight, and by the time they dropped me off at my neighborhood, the streets were completely empty. I had a 5-minute walk from the corner to my house. The decorations were still up. Pumpkins on porches, fake cobwebs blowing in the breeze. But there wasn't a soul outside. About halfway down the block, I noticed someone walking behind me. I turned around, and there was a man, maybe 40 or 50, wearing a black hoodie and one of those plain white masks with no features. He didn't have a candy bag. He wasn't dressed like he was heading home from a party. He was just walking, silent, 20 feet behind me. I sped up. His footsteps sped up. By the time I reached my driveway, I was practically sprinting. I fumbled with my keys, got the door open, and slammed it shut behind me. Through the peephole, I could see the man standing on the sidewalk in front of my house. He stayed there for maybe 2 minutes. Then he walked slowly back down the street until he disappeared around the corner. The next morning, I checked the porch. Sitting on top of the pumpkin by my door was the same blank white mask. Story 3. The Babysitter. When I was 16, I babysat for a family with 2 kids. On Halloween night, after trick-or-treating, I put them to bed around 9 and stayed downstairs watching TV. Around 10, I muted the volume because I thought I heard something. It was faint at first, like someone moving slowly around upstairs. The kids' rooms were supposed to be empty. I grabbed the phone and crept up the stairs. The hallway was dark, but I could hear breathing coming from the parents' bedroom. I whispered the kids' names, but neither answered. Their doors were shut. I took a step toward the master bedroom, and the door creaked open wider on its own. Inside, in the faint light from the window, I saw a figure crouched low at the foot of the bed. It wasn't one of the kids. Whoever it was too tall. Before I could move, the figure stood up and bolted across the room into the bathroom. I ran to the kids' rooms, grabbed them both, and took them outside to the neighbor's house. The police searched the place for nearly an hour. They didn't find anyone, but the bathroom window was unlocked, and on the inside of the glass were smudges, like someone had pressed their face against it while peering out. I never babysat for that family again.